Hello, flamingos, and welcome to Disrupting Obesity. I'm Charlotte Skanes, and I lost over 200 pounds without surgery, without fads, and without hating myself through the process. I'm here to help you unlearn what the diet industry has been feeding you and to talk about what it actually takes to lose weight and keep it off. I want to help you make real mindset shifts and start to build trust with yourself again, all while giving you the tools that you'll need to do it, but without losing yourself or your mind in the process. It might be Monday, but we're not starting over. So brace yourself, Gladys, and let's get into it. Welcome to episode 105. We are on our fifth episode in my series, 101 Weight Loss Truths. It was supposed to only be one episode, and then this whole thing has just gotten a little bit out of hand. But I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are having as much fun with it as I am. And I think we should just dive right in because I only got through 5 of these last week. So I want to try to get through at least a few more this week. We're going to head back in with number 43. If the only way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit, which it absolutely is, the only other way to lose weight is amputation. And the only way to know that you're in a calorie deficit is to track what you're eating. That makes calorie tracking the only weight loss shortcut out there. And that's one of the opinions that gets me into a lot of trouble. But it's not an opinion. Really, it's just a logical conclusion, right? If, then. That's all this comes down to. Every single diet, surgery, plan, pill, shake, shot, it doesn't matter what it is. They all work because they're putting you into a calorie deficit. So my argument is, why not just cut out all that shit in the middle and just get straight down to brass tacks? Let's just go right to what we know is going to work. I know it's a pain in the ass. I know that it sucks. I know it's not easy to learn how to do. It can be very difficult to do it effectively and to make sure that you're tracking accurately. But it's one of those skills that once you've got it down, you've got it. It's like anything else. It's probably like learning how to play tennis or something, right? Unless you have like a natural gift, you're going to have to learn how to do it a step at a time. And then you're going to have to practice again and again and again until certain things become second nature and until it gets easier. So yes, tracking is extremely difficult, but it's something that definitely gets easier the more of it you do. And it absolutely can become just kind of second nature. But I get that it's a really tough sell. I understand that. I spend a lot of my time trying to convince people that tracking their calories isn't a waste of time. I would argue that all of the things that we do to avoid counting our calories are in fact the waste of time. They are the distraction. It's not the calorie tracking that's throwing you off. It's the fact that you're doing every single other thing you can conceivably think of to avoid tracking calories. And I mean, look at some of the systems out there. Weight Watchers, Deal a Meal. I really don't know what it looked like before they went bankrupt, but points, I mean, you're assigning points to food based on how many calories are in them and then telling people they can have so many points. Why not just tell people how many calories they can have and teach them how to work within that? That makes a lot more sense to me. But I get that it's a mindset thing because everybody's afraid of tracking calories. It has all of this stigma. It's been built up as this big, bad, evil thing. Now it's being accused of causing disordered eating, which I think in extreme cases you can take anything too far. And I mean, yeah, I like calorie tracking for the concrete cause and effect of it's going to help you lose weight. It's the shortcut. It's the most efficient way to do it. But I also like calorie tracking because of the mindset thing that happens, because so many of us are completely unaware of how many calories are actually in our food. And it can be mind blowing. It can be completely shocking. Like you want to fall over and just curl up on the floor because you find out how many calories are in something that you like to eat. I cried when I found out how many calories were in my favorite meal from Burger King. Like I actually cried real tears. I had no idea that in a single meal I could take down 2 days worth of calories, but I absolutely could. And then I was confused about why, one, I was still gaining weight, and two, I wasn't losing weight. Well, it was the calories. Learning how many calories are actually in the food that we eat can only help you when it comes to your mindset. And I know that maybe you're thinking, no, because I'm going to find out that there's, 2,000 calories in my favorite meal. I'm going to freak out and it's going to push me farther backwards. Maybe, and it might for a minute. But once you realize how many calories are in the food you're eating, you can come to terms with how much you're actually taking in. And you can kind of shut down that narrative of I don't understand why I'm still gaining weight. I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. Let's get some awareness into this picture so that you can have an idea of what's going on and so that you can make better choices. You can still eat the foods that you love. I'm never the person telling you to walk away from the foods that you enjoy. I'm the person telling you to find a way to eat them within your deficit. And it's absolutely doable. But you can't do that unless you know how many calories are in them. You have to know the math. So if you're looking for a weight loss shortcut, if you're looking for a way to ultimately make this easier on yourself because you're not caught in the cycle of starting and stopping and stopping and starting and starting and stopping and just all that back and forth, calorie tracking is the shortcut. It's the key. It's what you're looking for. So this whole section, as we work our way through the mid 40s here, you're going to notice a recurring theme. But I had to get this off my chest, and it's stuff that you need to know. This is me pushing back against a lot of the misinformation out there. And number 44 is going to kick that off for us. Detoxes are a total waste of time and money. If your liver and kidneys are working, they're already doing that job for you. Waist trainers don't work. Neither do supplements, shakes, or teas. Fads promise big and you lose, but it's not weight. This one obviously connects back to 43 because if you're looking for a shortcut, when we're looking for a way to make things faster and easier and just more manageable and bearable for ourselves, we all have a tendency to turn to fads. Me too. I bought Slim Fast. I bought over the counter diet pills. I bought, oh God, I tried so many. I bought a Thigh Master. I had one of those electronic zapper machines that you would like use stickers to glue to your abdomen and then it would shock you. And that was supposed to make you have abs. I bought one of those. I weighed over 300 pounds and I bought one of those. So please don't think that I'm sitting here in my little glass house picking up stones and throwing them as hard and as fast as I can. I'm absolutely not. I was there. I understand. I get it. I really, really do. Everybody wants to make things as quick and as easy as they can, especially weight loss. But these fads aren't going to work. We call them fads for a reason. And the other thing I want you to keep in mind is that fad failure isn't about you. The fad was designed to fail. The more often you start and stop with your weight loss, the more money they're going to make. And sure, some of this stuff might work if you only have a few pounds to lose, but those of us who are facing significant weight loss, we have a different road to take. And you can't just drink a shake 3 meals a day until you lose all your weight. Doing that detox or drinking that apple cider vinegar, it's not going to help you burn fat. It's not going to stop you from eating. It is not going to help you with your overall weight loss. You would think that by now, with the technology and how far it's come and AI and all of this other stuff, that we would be able to have some sort of a radar where we could see through these fads and they wouldn't work. But they do work. And by work, I mean, they work in the sense that we're willing to buy them. The fads work from that respect because we are willing to pay the money. We're willing to try things again and again. And then when we fail, we don't blame the fad, we blame ourselves. And honestly, the bigger danger I see here isn't even necessarily the money, which we're talking billions of dollars every single year. It's not even the money, and it's not even the time, because it is a colossal waste of your time to do these things for days or weeks on end when you could be doing something that actually does work. That's not even the biggest danger. The biggest danger I see here is purely mental and emotional, because the more times we try and fail, the less likely we are to pick ourselves back up and start again. The more deeply we become entrenched in the narrative of, I can't lose weight. This is too hard. I guess I'm just supposed to be fat. My parents were heavy. I guess I'm supposed to be heavy. We get locked into these narratives that are all about blaming ourselves when we're not the one to blame here. You were sold a bill of goods. It didn't work. It was never supposed to work. It was just about getting your money. But once you get caught in that negative self-talk that I can't do it, I can't do it, that is so defeating. And that is the biggest risk here. It's the way that you get discouraged. It's the way that you start to feel shut down and locked in. That's what we're trying to avoid. So please, where you can, and I know it's tempting, we see this shit on our Facebook feeds. We see it everywhere we look. There's something new. Somebody's trying to sell us something else. There's, a little bracelet you can put on and the pounds are going to start to melt away. No. Do the best you can to turn away from all of that stuff and just keep telling yourself the fad's not going to work. And please remind yourself that every time you fail at a fad, you didn't fail. The fad did. And that was exactly what it was supposed to do. Number 45, and this one ties in because you see these snake oil exercise salesmen all the time, all over social media. You can't spot reduce fat. We all wish you could. We all have areas that we wish would shrink faster. And usually that's the part of us that ends up shrinking the last. For me, it's my arms and my calves. They're always the last thing to go. They're always the thing I wish would go first because they're the thing that I dislike about my body the most. My fingers and my toes, boobs too, they always shrink first. Seriously, my rings just start spinning on my fingers. And I'm like, why? Why can't this come from because it doesn't work that way. And because you can't spot reduce fat. There are fitness influencers all over the place telling people that, if you do this set of exercises, you can just slim down your arms, your wings will totally disappear. Get rid of that belly pouch just by doing these exercises. No, not the way it works. That's not how fat works. Now, I am not a bodybuilder. Let's be very clear. You guys know that, but I know that there's going to be a bodybuilding Gladys out there somewhere who is going to want to reach out and tell me that I'm wrong, which is cool because I might be. But I'm pretty sure that you can spot build muscle, right? Like if you do a whole bunch of arm curls, your arm will get bigger, but your thighs aren't going to get bigger because you were doing a whole bunch of arm curls. So you can build muscle in areas. You can't do that with fat though. The fat goes where the fat goes because of thermodynamics, and that's just the way it works. Now, when you see those people doing the exercise and it's like get a six-pack abs, get rid of your mom pooch, all of that stuff. Okay, cool. And you can build muscle beneath that, but it's still going to have a layer of fat over it unless you're in a calorie deficit and you're actually losing fat. But yeah, it would be amazing if you could just, wave a magic wand or tell your body, I'm going to eat in a deficit this week. And I would really prefer it if the half a pound or the pound that I lose came off my arm. No, it won't. It won't do that. That's not the way it's going to work. It's going to come off the way it comes off. And it's really too bad. And I'm sorry there are so many people out there lying to you, but they're lies. That's sorry. Number 46, because sometimes I like poking the Gladys bear, is carbs aren't evil. They're not. They're just not evil. There's nothing wrong with them, especially potatoes. Potatoes are actually the most satisfying food out there by a lot. And that's not my opinion. Like, oh, I find potatoes very satisfying. Nope. Give the satiety index a Google and you can see for yourself what I'm talking about here. I'm just so sick of the potato bashing. It's a great food. There's nothing wrong with them. Our bodies need all of the macros. You need carbs. Your brain, your nervous system, they're kind of critical. If you want to walk away from carbs, fill your boots. I don't give a shit. But if you're sitting there telling yourself that the reason you're not losing weight or the reason you're not trying to lose weight is because you're not willing to give up carbohydrates and that's the only way or that's the most efficient way or that's the best way or whatever narrative you've got going there, if you're telling yourself that you can't or aren't willing to try to lose weight because you're not willing to walk away from carbs, we can shut that down right now. You could eat only carbs and still lose weight so long as you're in a deficit. The calories don't give a shit. And I think it's interesting that carbs got picked on. Well, not really, because we went through the low fat craze, right? In like the late 80s, early 90s, where everything had to be low fat. And that didn't work because, I mean, gram for gram, calorie for calorie, fat has the most. It has 9 calories per gram, and protein and carbs have 4. Nobody's picking on the other two right now. We're all just picking on carbohydrates. It's somehow become the low hanging fruit of the diet industry. The problem is it makes you crazy when you give them up if that's not what you want to do. So losing weight turns into more of an exercise in torture because you're having to walk away from your all-time favorite foods. You can never have pizza crust again. Oh God, you just wish you could have a normal hamburger. Have the fucking hamburger. Have it with the buns, have the sandwich, have the pizza, have whatever you want. Just stay in a calorie deficit and try. And I know how hard it is, but try really hard to just shut out all this noise that unless you're eating steak at every meal with a stick of butter, you're not going to lose your weight. Bullshit. You definitely can. I ate carbs the entire time I was losing weight, both times. I probably ate carbs every single day. And you can too. So long as you're in a deficit, it doesn't matter. Gladys, I know. Satiety, all these, yes, all of those things apply. You also have to factor in the misery though. If you are completely miserable with what you're eating and food has always been your greatest joy, how long are you going to be able to keep going? It took me almost 2.5 full years. That's a pretty long time. Now, over the course of my life, is that a long time? No. When I look back, does it feel like that 2.5 year period were the worst years in my life? No, not at all. I look back and it kind of is a bit of a blip now. But it would definitely feel like a hell of a lot less of a blip if the whole time I was torturing myself by cutting out my favorite food group. Bad idea. I also needed to do something I was going to be able to sustain for the rest of my life. And frankly, walking away from carbohydrates was not something I viewed as even remotely sustainable for the rest of my life. You know what was sustainable for the rest of my life? Eating whatever I wanted, just making sure when I'm maintaining, I'm in maintenance mode. And if I need to cut weight, I'm in a deficit. That's what worked. I also didn't spend 2.5 years secretly dreading that I was going to gain it all back the first time I popped some French fries and a hot dog into my mouth. Because I grew up in the shadow of Atkins, and we all figured out pretty quick what happens when you eliminate carbs and then put them back into your diet. We all watched it happen in real time. Some of us are watching it happen in real time with people we know who did keto. And it just makes me feel so damn sad because I know exactly how hard they had to work to get that weight off. And now it's coming back on. And you just want to put your head in your hands and cry. If you take nothing else away from this episode, please take away that carbohydrates aren't evil. It's okay to want to eat carbohydrates. It really is. So don't worry. Don't worry about all the noise and just try to shut down anybody who's trying to convince you that carbs are evil because they're not. Speaking of foods that I am sick of hearing bashed, fruit isn't evil. I am so tired of hearing the anti fruit rhetoric. Bananas are fine, grapes are fine, all fruit is fine. Let's just say fruit. Fruit is fine. There is a lot of fruit fear mongering going on out there right now. There's even a lunatic all over social media telling parents, arguing with parents, that they should be giving their kids Snicker bars instead of grapes because there's the same amount of sugar. Well, how about some damn common sense? One of them is green and it grows, and humans have been eating them basically forever. The other is a fucking Snickers bar. And I've got nothing against Snickers. They are a fine, fine chocolate bar. They're a fine snack. That's fine. Eat them all day long. I really don't give a shit. But let's not pretend that fruit is evil. And please stop dragging chocolate into the argument. It's not chocolate's fault. Let's stop forcing people like me to feel like they have to stand up and besmirch the lovely Snickers bar just to defend grapes and bananas. This is ridiculous. And that's the thing. Like, if he was saying, don't give your kids grape, give them, I don't know, pomegranate, and there was some reason that, if your kid is sensitive to something and you give them the pomegranate instead of the grapes, okay, fine. Those are two, I think, comparable things. And I'm sure there's a fruit expert, Gladys, out there who's going to write in and explain to me why grapes and pomegranates are in no way comparable, which is fine. Both of them are fruit. Okay. That's the point I'm making. We're not even comparing apples and oranges when we compare bananas or grapes and a Snickers bar, right? They're not even in the same category of food. One is a confectionery, one grows on a tree or on a vine. Poor Snickers. This is just ridiculous. I think Snickers needs to issue a cease and desist to this guy who's out there telling parents, because it just makes them look bad. Even Snickers knows they shouldn't be marketing that way. You've never seen a commercial where there's some athlete on there going, stop giving your kids grapes, feed them a Snickers instead. Snickers knows they stay in their lane. Why are we pushing foods out of their lane and into other lanes just to make comparisons to make people feel afraid? Fruit isn't evil. Fruit is not making you fat. I see that all the time where people are like, oh, you better watch that. There's a lot of sugar in that. Uh-huh. There's a lot of sugar in candy too. I'm having this fruit, so I don't have the candy. Please get off my ass. Fruit isn't evil. Neither is chocolate. Let's stop making false comparisons that do nothing but make people afraid. It's a waste of time and it's just useless. I should have called 105 like the weight loss truths that are probably going to trigger Gladys the worst, but I'm on a roll, so we're going to keep going here. Number 48, aspartame, not evil. Gladys. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I think some people have alerts set where anytime somebody tries to defend sweeteners, they get like a little ping or, a bell rings. It's like that movie. And every time you try to defend aspartame, a Gladys gets her wings. I think that's what happens there. And I know the onslaught is coming. I don't care. This is a hill I'm willing to die on. Aspartame is not evil. And I know that there was that study and cancer, and it's all just so awful. I got it. Yeah, here's the thing though, Glads. Okay, we're not rats, because those studies were done on rats and mice, and you would have to drink 24 Diet Cokes a day to even come close to the levels that they were pumping into those poor little creatures. This is a false comparison. And sorry, we're going to say aspartame just as shorthand for artificial sweeteners. I'll try to switch that up so we can catch as many Gladyses in the net as we can. 24 cans a day. I want you to remember that the next time somebody says to you, oh my God, is that an artificial sweetener? You're better off just having the sugar. Well, are you? Are you? See, the first time I lost weight, I felt that way. And I was like, oh, artificial sweeteners are evil. I'm not going to use low fat products. I'm going to stay away from diet food. Now, the low fat craze, this was a lot of pushback to that. And back then, low fat food still really, really tasted like shit. So it was a totally different landscape when I lost my weight the first time around. When I lost my weight the second time around, you can bet your ass that I used every single one of those things that I possibly could to keep my calorie intake as low as I could get it with things like, oh, I don't know, mayonnaise. Yeah, I'd like to save 60% of the calories so that I can use them for something else that I enjoy eating. Abso-fucking-lutely. But my mentality the first time I lost weight was if I'm going to drink diet pop, which I had to because I was taking down 1,500 calories a day in pop. And technically, I didn't actually have to because I had 3,500 calories a day was my maintenance TDEE, right? So to eat in a deficit, I needed 3,000 calories a day. So I could have kept the pop, but that would have meant sacrificing a lot of food. And that was a sacrifice I was not willing to make. I'd rather have the 3,000 calories in food than spend half of it on just something that I drink pretty much constantly because I was drinking like 4 liters a day, right? So I switched over to diet pop so that I could have those calories back. But I was caught in the artificial sweetener fear mongering. So I wasn't willing to use it in other products. Second time around, I wanted to find as many ways to open up more calories for myself as I could. And that meant doing things like buying the half the fat mayonnaise, buying low calorie salad dressings, finding ways that I could give more calories back into my day. But the sweeteners aren't evil. And here's the response that if you follow me on Instagram and you've ever watched me go to war in the comments with one of the Gladyses on this one, I don't engage a lot, but what I'll typically say to someone who's attacking me for using sweeteners, and let's just go with a very, basic Gladys response, sweeteners are bad for you. That type of rhetoric is what I'll see. And my response is always basically a variation of this. Artificial sweeteners aren't nearly as bad for me as being 200 pounds overweight was. When I have to choose, I'm going to choose having lost the 200 pounds every single time. And if I had to use artificial sweeteners to do that, so be it. They're just a tool. Telling me that I'm poisoning myself. You're killing yourself with these artificial sweeteners. No, Gladys, I was killing myself with food. I was killing myself with all kinds of other products. Artificial sweetener didn't even begin to register on that. Number 49, because I'm on this hill, so I might as well just dig in. Processed foods aren't evil. They're a tool. That's all they are. They're like the artificial sweeteners. And I know there are so many people out there right now telling you that you're not going to lose your weight unless you switch to a whole food diet. You're not going to lose your weight unless you stop eating processed foods. Horse shit. Just like the carbohydrates we were talking about a few minutes ago, I ate processed food probably every single day I was losing weight. It didn't stand in my way one bit. It's not standing in my way now. This isn't a debate about nutritional value. This is a debate about weight loss. And Gladys is conflating things, and Gladys is confusing things by forcing us to have this conversation. It doesn't matter. How many calories are in it? How many calories are in it? And I feel like I need one of those, like just a trigger button where I can just go bow, bow, and it'll make a big noise and they'll all come running. How many calories are in it? Because that's what it comes down to. I'm sure on some level, we all want to be the person who's, eating these wonderful single ingredient foods that are just perfect and we grew them ourselves and they're organic. And that's just not the reality for everybody. So why don't we all just eat the food that we like to eat, leave everybody else alone, and stop trying to scare people? I've never understood this about so many weight loss coaches who look at somebody who weighs over 300 pounds, eats a diet consisting mainly of processed foods, and is like, we're going to switch you over to 100% single ingredient whole foods. Why? I mean, why just generally? And then very specifically, why are you setting this individual up to fail? Why are you refusing to meet them where they are and give them the tools that they need that will help them to gradually lose that weight and gradually maybe get used to eating some whole foods? If you have a person who has never had a diet that was predominantly single ingredient whole foods, most of their diet, most of their life has been entirely processed or ultra processed food, because let's back up for 1 second here. All food is processed, right? You pick it, it's processed. We're talking, and I know Gladys is too, she's talking about the ultra processed stuff. Not all of them. Some of them mean any process, but the really crazy ones mean the ultra processed food. That's what they tend to latch on to. So you take that person who's used to eating the ultra processed foods that are super high in, sugar and sodium and all of these yummy, yummy things that get all the right bells and whistles going when we're eating them and we feel so awesome about what we've just eaten them. And you hand them a plate that's just like steamed broccoli with a plain chicken breast with a plain jacket potato. You expect them to be able to continue to eat like that and not make themselves crazy and not feel like giving up for the next 2 years. That's the plan. The plan is just a full lifestyle reversal. How is that supposed to be helpful? I'm all for incorporating more of the nutritionally dense foods, if only because they tend to be lower in calories. So you're going to have more calories to eat the stuff that you really want to eat, like that fucking Snickers bar. I'm all for it. Please don't get me wrong here. I'm saying that telling people that they can't eat it or that they can't lose weight if they're eating processed foods is a blatant lie, and it's only being done for virtue signaling and because somebody has an agenda. Eat the foods you know and love. Just get yourself into a deficit. I have an agenda too, but it's not hidden, and you guys all know what it is. I'm here to try and help as many people as I can to lose weight. That's why I folded my whole one-on-one coaching business, because one person at a time wasn't cutting it. And by I want to help as many people as I can, I specifically mean you. If you would like some help, don't hesitate to reach out. You know where you can reach me. Disruptingobesity.com is my website. You can find me on my Instagram. And I love hearing from you guys. That's what keeps me going. So drop me a line anytime, even if you're just looking for some encouragement. If you're looking to get super serious and go deep with your weight loss, there's the program. And that's 53 weeks where you get the weight off and you change your relationship with food at the same time, because you definitely don't want to get your weight off and then start doing the work to change your relationship with food. I said I was going to get through more of these today, and technically I did, because we made it through 7 instead of 5 like last week. So next week we're going to come back. We're going to start working at, we're going to finish up the 40s and start working our way through the 50s. In the meantime, keep trying, keep tracking. Don't be intimidated and don't give up. You've totally got this. Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing the work. This isn't easy, but you're still here, and that counts. It matters. You're showing up. If you've subscribed, shared, or left a review, thank you. It really does help more than you know, and it also makes it easier for other women to find this podcast so they feel a little less alone on their journey. If you want more support, resources, or info on the program or the membership, check out disruptingobesity.com or come see what I'm up to over on Instagram. You know where to find me. Come tell me how I can be helpful. And in the meantime, keep trying, keep tracking, don't be intimidated, and don't give up. You've totally got this.